So, what's going on, guys? Welcome back to Larry P Sports video. Today you see Braden on my left, frequent guest, probably going to be seen multiple times more. It's our first mock draft since the lottery. Probably going to be another mock draft later on with Archer. This is just sort of some groundwork stuff. This is all just first impressions of these guys. I have not done a ton of digging. I've watched a little bit of all of them here and there. Braden, I'm sure, I think he's a little bit more in-depth.
Mm-hmm. I'm in a similar boat, but I've done a little bit of scouting. There's some good articles, YouTube people, and then just watching through, March Madness is a lot of my information too.
Yeah, same.
Not a big regular season college basketball guy.
I'm a big March Madness guy, so yeah. It's tough for these Tennessee guys in here.
That's for sure.
But starting off at number one is the Detroit Pistons, who won the lottery. Cade Cunningham says he will be working out for one team, and that is the Detroit Pistons. I have a feeling he will be going there.
Yeah, this one's pretty set in stone. I think the fit is nice too, kind of bringing back Detroit basketball. They've been kind of afterthoughts, kind of laughing stocks of the league, really haven't done anything. I like how he fits in next to kind of Jeremy Grant and Killian Hayes are kind of the two cornerstones right now. But that his being there kind of takes pressure off of them. From being the primary scorers, ball handlers kind of deal. So I think him being there is going to be huge. He has, franchise potential. Yeah.
Yeah, one thing that shocked me was he's 40% from three. Did not think he was that good of a three-point shooter. One thing early on in this season, though, that I was concerned with him in college, he had a negative assist-to-turnover ratio to start the season. That did not end that way, so I was proud of him for moving on from that and it looked like he just got more comfortable. So there could potentially be a learning curve in the NBA like he had in college, but I'm hoping he's kind of adjusted his game for more of a playing with men level.
Mm-hmm. I'm sure that'll develop as time goes on.
For sure.
He's
not a thing.
He's not the primary ball handler. They have the Pistons spent a lottery pick on Killian Hayes last year, so they obviously expect stuff from him. So he's not gonna be by himself there. It's just gonna be a development alongside those young pieces that they have. So I kind of like what their futures in Detroit, what they have going on there.
For sure. All right, number two, the Houston Rockets have, in my opinion, Evan Mobley. Now, Evan Mobley, I think, is a number one pick in a lot of drafts. Reminds me, he has shades of Anthony Davis in his game, especially when it comes to the blocks. I think he averages the most blocks since Anthony Davis, actually.
Yeah, it was 3.2, I think.
Incredible player. On the defense side of the ball, he's very good. But one thing that really piqued my interest is in high school, he handled the ball a lot like Anthony Davis did, and he does have really good touch. That was something that wasn't utilized at USC quite as much. His jump shot's inconsistent, but I think with some more practice and honestly just his body developing as well, it's tough to grow up and grow 5 inches every year. I think once his body slows down and he sort of starts to develop, that jump shot will come along with it.
Yeah.
So I'm really excited about Evan Mobley, and I honestly think he has number one potential in basically every other draft, unless it's Zion, of course.
Yeah, if there's not a guy like Cade Cunningham, you really have to look at Evan Mobley being the number one guy, just because you touched on a lot of it. But the only knock to his game is his jump shooting kind of deal. But offensively, his footwork is insane. He's such a versatile defender. Like you said, there's a lot of shades of Anthony Davis and that kind of stuff in there. And I think he's a very good fit also, which you don't see a lot with taking the best player available in these drafts. Detroit's doing it here, and I think with the Rockets, him fitting next to Christian Wood in the front court, kind of running Wood at the 4, Mobley at the 5, kind of what Wood lacks in defense, Mobley makes up for that, and what Mobley lacks in kind of shooting and perimeter oriented game, that Christian Wood makes up for that. So I think that they are going to fit in very well next to each other as a front court for the future.
Yeah, that's definitely a power duo in my opinion. So next up, we have the third pick. It's the Cleveland Cavaliers. Braden and I think, again, are matching here. I think a lot of people agree with us on this pick, and that's Jalen Green. Jalen Green's incredibly talented as a scorer. He honestly might be the best scorer in this draft, at least as it projects right now. I would say Cade's obviously very good as well. But Jalen has all the tools to be really successful in this league scoring the ball. They already have Darius Garland and Colin Sexton, though, so I would not be shocked if they move away from Colin Sexton. There have been some rumors.
There has been some rumors.
So, Braden, what do you have to add on Jalen Green, sort of his dynamic as a player?
I think that Jalen Green playing in the G League, it was a lot of different from a lot of these guys, except for Kuminga and then Dacian Nix. He's not going to really be drafted until the second round, probably. But he in the G League, you're playing with NBA, playing with and against NBA players already, and you're playing with NBA 3-point line, which from the perimeter, Jalen Green was incredible. I mean, he shot 30. He shot like 37%. But he shot at a high volume. He's playing with a lot of good players next to him on the G League night. But his athleticism is off the charts. His perimeter not his perimeter defense. His perimeter shooting is off the charts. So I think him and if they do move away from Colin Sexton, I think it's a good pair next to Garland. And then he also brings kind of the highlight reel potential. I said this about LaMelo Ball last year. Kind of the Hornets, you never see them on Bleacher Report, but when they have a guy like LaMelo Ball making cool passes and throwing down dunks, I think that you can see a lot more of that from Cleveland if they go with a Jalen Green here. So that's what I pretty much have to say about that. I like him as a scorer. I think he can fit.
Awesome. 4, nice. I think we both kind of have a similar guy. We're going to try and speed it up here a little bit. I know these top 3 picks are already like 6 minutes long.
Yeah.
Number 4, Toronto Raptors, Jalen Suggs. I think he's everything that Kyle Lowry has, plus he can dunk, and he has not been blocked by Kevin Hart before. So I think Jalen Suggs is a fantastic player. He's an incredible leader. Mm-hmm. He brings that like Kyle Lowry does. I'm not saying he's going to be the same player Kyle Lowry is, but from an intangible standpoint, I think he's there, especially as a leader.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he has the Jason Kidd comparisons, which I think are pretty fair. But his feel for the game is incredible. His IQ, like you said, his leadership, he can really do it all. He was a quarterback in high school, so he has that playmaking is just incredible too. So just his feel for the game, and you saw it in the tournament what he did with Gonzaga. He had that big shot, so he has he's not afraid of the big stage either. So I think he can really be a huge asset.
All right, now number 5 is the Orlando Magic. I don't know if we differ at all here, but I have Jonathan Kuminga.
I do as well.
Now, the one thing that makes me question this is I do think he is slightly similar to Jonathan Isaac, but the Magic are at a point where they don't need any more guards because they drafted Cole Anthony, they have R.J. Hampton, and then they've already signed Markelle Fultz to a relatively big deal. So they need to go forward, and honestly, it never hurts to have 2 forwards that are incredibly versatile defensively.
Yeah, the Magic really aren't making any noise anytime soon, so I think kind of investing in a project player like Kuminga is a good idea for them. He's very raw, but he does have a high ceiling in my opinion, but he does have a low floor. So I think his athleticism, ball handling, rebounding, all that good stuff. He's shown the ability to make difficult shots, which raises his ceiling even more. So I just think that he can, if they invest in that, you can't really go wrong there, especially if you're a team like the Magic who are not trying to win now.
He kind of reminds me of Isaac Okoro. I could be wrong there. I haven't watched a whole lot of him, but just that they're both kind of raw, and I do think they can both develop.
Yeah, and also his physicals are incredible. He has his athleticism, his length, his size in general has been. Yeah.
All right, now the Thunder have a guy that I honestly didn't do a whole lot of research on. That's Scotty Barnes. The one thing I will say that was consistent in everything I saw about him is the Draymond Green comparison.
Yeah.
He's not going to blow you away offensively, but what he lacks in scoring ability, he makes up for in playmaking and his ability to handle the ball. He's 6'9", so it's super impressive. And apparently he's a good defender too. I don't think he's incredible around the rim defensively, but he is a really good perimeter defender and is incredibly switchable. So that's a good pick for the Thunder, especially next to Lou Dort, I may add.
Yeah, I know we're not really going into trades or anything, but I can really see the Thunder kind of moving back here and taking a less NBA-ready prospect, but I also have them taking Scotty Barnes here. I really like I think he is NBA-ready. The Draymond Green comparisons, like you said, the on-ball defense, just the defense in general, really. He's a real big hustle guy. He's a good rebounder. He doesn't really have all the offensive skill set, but I feel like kind of the Thunder, you can build whatever you want around him, especially if you have Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. And then the Florida State guys, as of late, have been they've all been dogs.
Insane.
So you can't really go wrong here.
The length at Florida State is just insane. You've got Isaac, you have P. Will, and then you also have
Vassell.
Yeah, Vassell. The length is insane. Whatever they feed them at Florida State is incredible.
Yeah. Also, one more thing I'll add about Scotty Barnes is he did play some point guard in college. He had to adapt a lot, but his playmaking potential, he can pass. Yeah, his playmaking potential, he can pass the rock well. He averaged 4.1 assists, I believe, in college. So that's something that they can add to his game too, and kind of highlights the Draymond comparisons.
Well, awesome. Next, we're moving on to the team that has Draymond Green at number 7. That is the Golden State Warriors. I think we both agree on this one as well. Somehow we've made it this far. I have Davion Mitchell, the standout Baylor shooting guard. Incredible perimeter defense. He's probably the best perimeter defender as a guard in this draft.
Yeah.
He draws Patrick Beverley comparisons for that, which I don't necessarily love because I'm not a big Patrick Beverley guy, but he does play similar defense to Patrick Beverley, where he just will hound you. He's an incredible shooter, which I really, really like, and I think he's an NBA-ready guy coming off this Golden State bench next year.
He is very NBA-ready. I got to have the privilege of watching a lot of Davion Mitchell because he did, obviously won a title. I'm a Baylor guy too. So, scouts saw and fell in love with him in the tournament for sure. I think that definitely boosted his draft stock a lot. But I think he's going into if he gets drafted by Golden State, he's going into a great situation there. He is very NBA ready. He's probably one of the most NBA ready out of everybody in this draft. So I think his two-way play coming off the bench behind Steph Curry, one of the best point guards in NBA history to start off his career, is going to be very beneficial to him, and I think very beneficial to Golden State as well.
All right, we're moving on to number 8. Let's see if we differ at all here.
I believe we might.
I think we will too. The Magic, number 8. I have Franz Wagner. Now, this is a guy that definitely struggled in March Madness, especially down the stretch, to say the least.
Didn't he airball like a game winner?
He had a couple of them, I think. And, this really hurts his stock, but for some reason I still have him at 8. Now, I'm going to tell you that reason. It's because he's long, he's switchable, and he hits the 3 ball. That is just something that teams need, and honestly, they have his brother there already. You might as well double up, make it a family thing. But I really think he does have high potential, especially with his feel for the game and his ability to handle the ball at that size. It's just really impressive to me.
Yeah, in my opinion, for Wagner, I think he's someone that is more of an NBA-ready prospect and less of what the Magic would want to kind of take a stab at, kind of like someone who would not really help them now, but kind of down the future, more of a, what am I trying to say? More of an investment kind of. Yeah. So I'm going to talk about Wagner later in mine, but I have James Bouknight from UConn going here, which is he's a guy who's really, out of all these guys, his draft stock has risen like crazy, and I think that the Magic are going to bite on it. They do have a lot of guards, like you said, but I'm not like totally sold on R.J. Hampton. So I think kind of coming off the bench to start his career. He's not going to really have a lot of restrictions in Orlando, so he can kind of be himself, the spark plug guy that he is. He can really handle the ball well too. He has a Devin Booker, Jordan Clarkson comparisons. So I think that is a guy who's going to be a very good NBA player. He's who I want my team, the Grizzlies, to draft. But I think with his draft stock has been going up a lot. I'm sure you'll talk about Bouknight later as well.
Yeah, I will.
But yeah, I just think that with his stock going up a lot, Magic will bite.
Well, awesome. At number 9, we have the Sacramento Kings, the team that has not made the playoffs in like 15 years. So I have a feeling they're going to miss on this pick, but it is a guy that I like a ton. This is who I want. I think if Davion Mitchell or Moses Moody are available at 10 for the Pelicans, they should take them. Although I do have another guy at 10 I really like. But Moses Moody's an incredible player. He's supposed to be the 3-and-D guy from this draft. He shot 36% from 3, which doesn't necessarily blow me away, but it is good. And he averaged 17 points, so he's doing more than just hitting threes. Mm-hmm. I'm a fan of his game. He played at Arkansas, and defensively he's super long. I will say he's only 6'5", with a 7-foot wingspan, more than makes up for that.
Yep, I have a different pick than you here as well. I have the Kings taking Keon Johnson, who's also probably besides Kuminga, he's up there with Kuminga as the most like raw prospect in this draft. And you may be saying the Kings have a lot of, they have Fox there, they can make a run at the playoffs. If we're being honest, they haven't made the playoffs since 2006. The West is really damn good. Like a team like the Grizzlies will probably miss the playoffs next year, and they're
exactly.
I don't want toot my own horn, but they're pretty good. The Kings though, they might as well. I don't know how long De'Aaron Fox is going to stay there, especially if they kind of commit to a more of a rebuild scenario. But Keon Johnson's a very raw prospect from Tennessee. He just recorded the highest vertical leap in NBA history, or in the combine history, of 48 inches. So he has got incredible athletic potential as a slasher. His jump shot is not there right now, but his raw skills kind of flash the ability to be a really good two-way scorer, because he's a great defender. So his offense could be something that we could see come along as he kind of develops.
Yeah.
But he's more of a project guy, which is why I have the Kings taking him, because they're not going to really make any noise anytime soon.
All right, now number 10, this is a guy that Braden brought up earlier. It's James Bouknight. Now, having him to the Pelicans is something I probably should have researched more, considering that it's my favorite team, but I haven't. And, all I know is that he scored 40 points in a game, and that is very impressive to me. He had an injury sort of midway through the year, and he kind of slowed down after that injury. So I'm not going to blame him for his, like back half. Oh my lord, they just made that. You see that?
happened?
Paul George just made a half-court shot at the end of the third quarter, if you are wondering. No, James Bouknight, incredible player, gets buckets. He's a spark plug off the bench, in my opinion, for this Pelicans team. I don't see them having Lonzo Ball or Eric Bledsoe next year, so that will free up space for Kyra Lewis and Nikhil. I don't necessarily think Kyra's ready to start, so I could see James Bouknight starting. But I don't really know. I think he's incredible. He's got size at 6'5". I really like what he brings to the squad. The Pels need buckets, and he will get them. He's really good off the ball. He's really good on the ball. He's a combo guard, just like Nikhil.
I'm a big fan of Bouknight. He's one of my favorite prospects in the draft, and I could see him if he goes to New Orleans. He could kind of start right away, and which is different than my Orlando pick. So I think that'd be better for his career.
Yeah.
But I don't know if he'll last that long in the draft.
I will be happy with anyone other than Corey Kispert or a trade. I think the Pels will trade. That's my take.
That's fair. Okay, we're on 10. This is kind of, now that we've gone through it, I'm kind of rethinking this, but at 10 I have the Pelicans taking Moses Moody.
Okay.
They have a lot of backcourt questions right now. Lonzo Ball might not be there. Eric Bledsoe probably shouldn't be there. He probably won't be there. And if I don't know if Kyra Lewis can take the starting reins right away. So depending on that, because Moody is not a guy who can really create for himself to a high degree, but he's a guy who can come in and contribute right away. The Pelicans are trying to make a playoff run with Ingram and Zion Williamson. So just his 3-and-D ability, he's not like a stretch really drafting him. You can count on him to come in and produce right away. Kind of with any 3-and-D guy. Ceiling wise, I don't know how good he can be, but just the 3-and-D, and like you said, he averaged 17 points on an SEC team. So he's doing more than just 3-and-D.
Yeah, and he kind of reminds me of Sadiq Bey a little bit. I will say one thing with him is I would be okay taking him, and I know there are questions at the guard position for the Pelicans. But honestly, Zion controls a lot of the offense with his driving to the basket and stuff, so I'm not worried if they can't necessarily create off the ball. Number 11 is the Charlotte Hornets, my soon-to-be hometown team. And they are going to take a center. You know why? Because as much as I love Cody Zeller, he's not that great. He's a hustle guy, but he should not be getting paid as much as he is. And honestly, LaMelo Ball in general is such a good lob passer that I really think they'd benefit from a guy that can snag some of these lobs. That guy is Kai Jones. The man is 6'11", the vertical of a god. I actually can't confirm that. But he does have an outside shot, too. He took 33 of them this year, so you kind of get the best of both worlds. I think he's a little raw. He kind of reminds me of Jackson Hayes a tad, but bigger. So, yeah that's my 2 cents.
Now that you're saying that kind of makes a little more sense than who I have them taking, just because they're center. But also, that could be a free agent destination.
Yeah,
I could see them giving
too.
Andre Drummond way too much money.
Really? After Cody Zeller.
I don't know. I mean, they just need a center, a big guy, lob threat. Speaking of lob threats, I have Jalen Johnson going here. Very athletic, very versatile. His half court skills aren't really there. He's more of a transition guy. He's a little similar to a Miles Bridges, which is why I'm a little tentative to put him here. But he can pass the ball well. He can take some playmaking roles. He can take the ball out of LaMelo's hands in a good way, because you don't really know if you don't want the same guy kind of taking the ball up every single time, kind of deal. He has a high potential for his jump shot to develop, kind of deal. So that could be something. His potential is high in that aspect. So I could see him becoming kind of a. I mean, I don't really know. It's now that we are going through it, it's a little different for me. But I don't know his ceiling. I don't really know a lot about him. Yeah. But he's a guy that should go in the lottery, I believe, just because of his kind of what he can do with a playmaking aspect, his athleticism, and also his his rebounding potential and his potential for shooting. So that's what I would say.
I'm gonna be honest. I didn't hear the guy's name. Who was it?
Jalen Johnson from Duke.
Ah, there we go. Okay, yeah, he's good. So we just did 11. Here's 12. This guy's already won an MVP, so that's why I know he's going to be a stud. His name is Alperen Sengun from Turkey. He's a tank. He shot 69% in the Turkish Super League.
Nice.
So it is super indeed. And the dude was the MVP. averaged like 17 points. Supposedly doesn't have a jump shot like I thought he did, but I saw him warming up in the gym, and he looked pretty good from 3.
Very super.
So that is all I have to say.
Yeah.
All I have to say is this is going to be a super pick in a super big way. So
I'm also pretty high on Sengun. I don't have him in my lottery, but I think his post skill, his offense is something that can really. I mean, you said
he is 18 years old and 240 pounds.
Yeah,
he has.
So the potential is
massive.
The potential is very much there in all aspects. But here at 12, I have the San Antonio Spurs also going with a center. I have Kai Jones going here.
I like that. I like Kai. I like
The Spurs need a big, really. They have Pirtle right now. They're plenty fine on guards and wings. It seems like they've taken one in every single draft up to this point.
For sure.
But he's a great defender, so you don't have to worry about that. He has a good interior presence from a defensive aspect, so he'll block shots for you. He'll grab rebounds, and he's athletic. He's athletic enough to be a lob threat in that sense. So I think that his bounce is going to pair well alongside a team that needs a center, and I think this is a good step in the right direction for the Spurs, who I think need to start rebuilding. They've competed for a long time. I don't know how much longer Popovich is going to be there.
DeRozan is finally gone.
Yeah, DeRozan won't be there either. So
that contract and LaMarcus, so they've got cap space too. They have lots of it. I would not be surprised if they went after a John Collins-esque player.
Yeah.
So number 13 is a team that I think will be making a big mistake regardless of who they pick, just to spite Patrick. But no, joking. The Pacers, I think, are going to get a guy that's kind of raw in a sense. I know that they just hired Rick Carlisle, who's not necessarily a rebuilding coach by any means. But I have them taking Keon Johnson just because the potential's there. Now, you look at it last year, they take Cassius Stanley. Is that right? Yeah. Cassius Winston's the Michigan State guy. Got my Cassius Stanley. Cassius Stanley's the guy with the crazy vertical. They're going to do it again. Keon Johnson's vertical, as Braden mentioned, 49 inches. Well, 48 and a half.
48.0.
I thought it was half. It's 49. We round up here. And so Keon's a stud, really versatile defensively, but his offensive game is going to be pretty bad. Hopefully he and Goga Batadze can do some player development together.
Yeah. Also, I don't like that pick for the Pacers.
I don't either, but I didn't want to give him Corey Kispert because
they don't need a scorer. Is kind of leading into what I'm saying. A scorer, they have Karis LeVert, T.J. Warren, Domantas Sabonis, Brogdon, all great scorers.
Yeah.
Who, in their own sense, if they're on their own team, they could average 20+. The Pacers do not need another scorer. So I have them at 13, taking a guy you already talked about, Franz Wagner.
Stud.
I believe he will not be a star.
I don't either.
But he's going to be a pretty dang good role player for them. He has gotten the Nicholas Batum comparison, which is very fair, I think.
I can actually see that. That's a good comparison.
But, I'm a big fan of him. I think that he can hit the perimeter shot. He's not going to create his own shot, really. He can pass the ball well. He can take some playmaking off of Brogdon. And then his defense is good. He's good at pretty much everything.
Yeah, he's an all-around guy.
But, he's not insane at, one thing. He has a good feel for the game. His IQ's, pretty high.
All right, so
I like him.
14, the Golden State Warriors for their second pick in the lottery. I have Christopher Duarte from Oregon. And now, the reason I say this is he is an instant impact guy. He's 24 already, which some scouts might look at and be like, well, that guy's not that good. But guess what? He is that good. He's that guy. The dude is a stud.
He's that guy, pal.
Good three-point shooter. I generally believe in him. He's proven that he can do it at the college level, and I think a lot of what he does can translate to the NBA. So I have Chris Duarte at 14. Braden, who do you have at 14?
At 14, I'm pulling up his stats real quick because I do have a point to make.
Okay.
I don't think you can draft Chris Duarte over who I have at 14 to the Warriors. Another NBA-ready guy in Corey Kispert. Now, Corey Kispert, you can say what you want about his March Madness.
Not a fan.
But he's an elite three-point shooter, and that's what the Warriors are based on. Also, what I looked up is his work ethic is incredible. He's made massive improvements, and he played 4 years at Gonzaga. Freshman year, he averaged 6.7, shooting 35% from 3. Sophomore year, 8 points on 37% from 3. Then junior year, he made a big jump, 14 on 43.8, and then he's averaged 19 points on 44 this year. So I think he has a great work ethic. He's also a good hustle guy. His defense is good enough. It's not like he doesn't excel defensively, but just he's going to be a good role player. And I think the Warriors is a good places for him to start his career. He's a little older. It's not like you're making a big investment in like a potential guy. You know what you're getting from Corey Kispert, and I think that is just something that the Warriors can't really turn down.
All right, so now I don't know if you have this necessarily listed, but like, who's your guy outside the lottery that most people have in the lottery?
Oh, in the lottery? Ooh.
Because I have a couple.
Outside of my lottery?
Outside of my lottery.
Or is it like a sleeper pick?
We're going to do both. So outside of my lottery, I have Josh Giddey, the Australian point guard / forward. He's a really good player. He can play either position. He's just got great IQ for the game. Reminds me of Denny Avdija from last year. And then I also have Jalen Johnson, who went to Duke. Now, the reason I say this is I think the character issues. He's a fantastic player, but it's hard to come back from leaving. I think it was 2 high schools and Duke. I don't know if that's just something with him meshing with coaches or what the deal is. I'm not close enough to that situation to make a call on it. NBA scouts will be, but that just doesn't look good in my opinion.
Yeah, like you said with Sengun, I think he has a good case for going to the lottery just because there's not a lot of good centers in this draft, and just you can't he has like good potential too. He's super young, and he's already drawing comparisons to like Valanciunas, Vucevic, Sabonis, all them.
Yeah.
I also do like Josh Giddey too. He's super young. He's only 18 years old. He was doing crazy things overseas. Was he in Australia?
Yep, NBL.
Gotcha. Yeah, and he was doing great things. Triple-double threat pretty much every game. And then I also like Usman Garuba. I don't know if I'm saying that right. He played overseas.
Close enough.
Great defender. Great hustler. That's about it though. But I don't know if he'll go lottery in that sense, but I think he's a good role player that you can take here. That'll just give you great post interior defense and can also switch onto the perimeter.
Well, awesome. So who is your sleeper in this back half of the draft? Now, I have a very heavy sleeper. This guy's projected like second round, maybe undrafted, I think, because I didn't see him on any mock drafts that I looked at. And this is a man, in my opinion, that just improves at every step of the way and does it in a big way. I have Jason Preston from Ohio State as my sleeper. Now, I will say I got a little crazy and I watched some NBA Combine game highlights. The dude was incredible. Mm-hmm. He played incredibly well. Super impressed with him. It was one game, but I honestly, it's the biggest game he's played up to this point. He's playing for a career, and he played incredibly well. So I was impressed with that. I think he'll probably go second round. Wherever he goes, he's going to need a year or two, I think, just because, I mean, the dude barely made a college team, so he's going to have to develop before he's a real NBA guy. But I think he's got the work ethic to do it, and I really like what I've seen from him.
Yeah, he went to Ohio, and he was the number one guy.
State? Did I say Ohio State? I believe I did. He went to Ohio.
He went to Ohio. You know who made the NBA tournament this year, or the March Madness tournament? Ohio. So he brought that team. He was the number one guy there. His shooting mechanics are a little weird. I don't know about his. I know he's a second round guy kind of deal. I don't know about what he can do in the NBA, but I definitely think he's made a name for himself. He's had a good combine too. And speaking of guys who've had a good combine, I did want to say for the lottery, I do also want to say Zaire Williams.
I do like him.
He's a good shot creator. He has a lot of potential defensively. Two-way kind of guy. He can handle the ball too. But mine is a guy by the name of Bones Highland from VCU. I was talking to you. We played pickup at the Y today, and I was raving about him because I was watching a lot of the NBA Combine today, and he did really well in his 5v5 games, especially. But he draws comparisons to Emmanuel quickly. I see it a lot there with his pull-up shot. If you go under the screen, he's going to hit it from however deep you need him to. But he can also play make. He has a good handle as well. One NBA scout, actually I have the quote here, said that he could be the biggest riser in this year's draft class, and he's played his way into the first round, and he isn't done yet. This is a quote from today, after the 5v5 games, which I believe he had 17 points, I think, which is pretty good for those kind of games.
That's pretty good.
So I like what he can do, especially I like that he can come in and contribute immediately, which I don't think a lot of guys see that. So he'll be a second round, maybe late first, depending on how the rest of his combine goes. But he's a guy that I'm really high on, and I hope that my team can get him.
Well, awesome. So I would say in the honor of Alperen Sengun, this was a super video.
Super.
So I hope you all are doing well and hope to see you next time. Peace.